peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Saidia mama wewe. Unangojea mama ashukue wewe uko hapo.
Pia nataki na yeye ndio mwanajeshi.
Mwanajeshi wa aina gani ambaye anangoja mama ashukue? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Fellow Kenyans, today I come to you with sober news. Our figures are staggering. We have tested the largest number of samples at over 3,000, starting at 3,077 over the last 24 hours. As could be expected out of that figure, we have also registered the highest number of positive Kenyans in 24 hours at 123 persons. For the first time, we have hit a triple-digit figure. And this is the largest figure since we started testing and since the first COVID case was reported on the 13th of March 2020. Nairobi is once again leading with a total infection of 85 people, followed by Mombasa with 24, while Kiambu has 4. Followed by other various counties. In Nairobi, again for the first time, we have recorded a very high number of 33 people in Mathare. Kibera remains high as well at 14, Embakasi West at 12, Embakasi Central at 4, followed by others as you will see in the press release. The Mombasa cases again are highest in Mvita and Shangamwe. Mvita having 9 and Shangamwe having 4 of them. In Kiambu, where we have also noticed some growth, the growth now is 1 each in Kabete, Kikuyu, Ruiru, and Juja. The cases in Kajiado are in Namanga and Kitengela, while the cases in Kisumu are from our quarantine facilities. The 2 cases in Kisumu are imports from Nairobi of persons who traveled to Kisumu for a burial. Again, we have emphasized that the virus knows no age, and we have a 1-year-old who was tested positive, while 78 persons are male and 45 are female. In other words, today, in addition to registering the highest number of cases, can report that they are now spread in 35 various hospitals across the country. And out of these, within those 35, we have grown now into 7 in critical condition, 4 are on ventilatory support, while 3 are on supplemental oxygen. On another sad note, we have lost 3 more patients to the virus, bringing the total number of fatalities to 55. And I would like to take this opportunity to condole with the families of those who have succumbed to this deadly virus. But all of them, the 3 persons, all had comorbidities. One had diabetes, the second one also had diabetes, while the third one had hypertension. And one with diabetes, second with diabetes, and the third one with cancer of the breast. The figures which we have shared illustrate the rapid rate of transmission in the informal settlements of Nairobi. This means that there is a ranging number of infections in these areas. We either live in those places, have a relative that resides there, or know someone else that does. So what does that mean? It means that this disease is now within the communities. Hii ugonjwa uko mtaani na hakuna mmoja wenu ambaye yuko salama. Hakuna mmoja wetu ambaye yuko salama. Awe ni yule anauza mboga pale sokoni, ama ni tajiri wa aina gani, hakuna mtu ambaye sasa anaweza kusema ati hii virusi iko mbali sana na yeye. There should be no falsehood or any false sense of security about the immunity to COVID-19. If the numbers in Eastlands are rising, it means the same is occurring elsewhere. And therefore, my appeal to all is that when, for instance, we conduct testing in an estate near yours, kindly volunteer yourself for testing. Knowing your status is very important, not only for yourself, but importantly for those who you will want to protect. I would like to make an appeal to the public, transportation owners, drivers and riders. As you can see, some of the highest infections come from areas where public transport is the primary means of transportation. Yet, we have noticed that many have reverted back to their old ways of travel, disregarding social distancing rules and not obeying masking guidelines. Please let me remind you of the need to protect yourself and, as I have said, to protect others. You don't know who you are sitting next to. And from the figures we are getting, I think it would be safe to assume that the person you are sitting or standing next to is positive. Once you assume they are positive, you will not want to remove that mask because you will be protecting yourself. The increase in community infections is simply because of the increase in community contacts, and that is a fact. Despite all this, there is hope for Kenya. Even with this spike, we must give thanks that from an overall perspective, these infections are relatively low as compared to others, and particularly when it comes to the numbers of those who have succumbed to the disease. It is good to compare oranges with oranges. You'll notice is a high figure of 123, but is also a high figure of the tested cases of over 3,000. So you have got to put it in perspective. And going forward, we are going to be trying to get you statistics to show what percentages, in addition to the actual figures, to show what percentage change there is month on month or week on week basis. We need not lose focus on our need for vigilance. That said, it is important to remind you that of all the diseases that exist, all have existed, none, and I mean none, has ever been as lonely as COVID-19. If this disease gets serious, and it is getting serious, it is just that we have been lucky so far. People die alone. They don't die as a group. So it is important for one to protect themselves. We will be visiting counties on continuous basis as a means of evaluating our national preparedness levels, because collectively counties have a greater capacity to attend to the sick. Their preparedness is key, because we don't want to get to a point where we find ourselves unable to cope with an overwhelming number of critically ill patients. Should this trend be the case and we are overwhelmed, we will only have two options, and we have seen these options globally: cooperate and survive, or ignore directives and suffer. The choice must be made by each person individually and communities collectively. Kwa hivyo, mimi ni wasihi wa Kenya, tafadhalini. Leo hii tumeona idadi ya watu ambao ni wengi zaidi kuliko hapo zamani, 123. Vile vile, mtaa wa Mathare ulikuwa na watu wengi zaidi, 33. Na hii ni kusema ya kwamba virusi iko kila pahali. Hakuna mtaa sasa ambao hauna hii virusi. Ni kusema ya kwamba rafiki yako yule mnatembea naye, pengine huyu sasa ako na virusi. Ile bahati tuko nayo ni kwamba hata wale ambao wameshika hii virusi si wengi sana, wako hatarini. Tumetupoteza watu 3 leo hii. Hao 3 walikuwa na ugonjwa tofauti, walikuwa na ugonjwa ingine tofauti, lakini ni kumaanisha ya kwamba ukiwa na shida fulani, ukiwa na hypertension, ukiwa na virusi zingine na upate hii COVID-19, ni kusema uko hatarini zaidi. Kwa hivyo sisi kama Wizara ya Afya tutaendelea kusihi wananchi tufuate vile wadaktari wetu wanasema, tufuate yale masharti ambayo imewekwa na serikali, sana sana mambo ya kunawa mkono, mambo ya kuweka mask, mambo ya kukaa mbali kidogo na yule rafiki yako. Hata ukienda kutembelea mtu, si lazima mkae karibu sana, kaa mbali kidogo. Na pia saa hizo zote mnazungumza, wewe kuwa na mask na yeye awe na mask.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Africa. Thank you very much for watching our programs. Thank you very much, wherever you are in the world. Good morning. This is Punchline Africa Television, the People's Court. This morning, I'm bringing a topic which touches Kenya. The Republic of Kenya is undergoing quite a lot of tremendous challenges that come at the border post in Malaba, in Busia, in Namanga, and the other places. But the country has tried. It has done its best. The government has done its best to combat COVID-19. Viewers, the situation in Kenya gives us a glimpse of how Africa would look if we did not have interventions. What interventions were needed? Elsewhere in Africa, the pandemic in South Africa has swept and continued to sweep across the provinces near the sea, especially in Port Elizabeth, Cape Town, Durban, and all the ports surrounding the South African coast. And in the north, we find Egypt has the highest numbers, Algeria has the highest numbers, Tunisia, that locked down completely, militarily, its numbers have not spiked. Morocco, across in the western end of the African continent, the numbers have spiked because people demand partial lockdown, lifting restrictions. The governments have tried to do their best. Have we, the people, done our best? If you see people violating the same principles, if you see people violating the masking, put on masks, people are not wearing masks. People are not wearing masks. See what they are doing. They just walk anyhow. Yet the disease is there, it's flowing. So thank you very much. This morning, my panel on the People's Courts is, as you see from the platform, in the left-hand corner, we have Miriam Ogutu, our researcher anchor. Good morning.
Very good morning to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the first show. I was not able to do because of some technical problems.
And we missed you. We missed you on the first show, yes.
Yes. In the lower, below Miriam is our investigative journalist, Daniel Wesonga. Good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much. And then our radio station, which works 24 hours, the man controlling it, controlling the sounds and the music. If you want any number, you want to request anybody, just go to that guy there. He's called Patrick Pande Makanga.
Good morning, Doctor.
Habari yako?
Niko salama sana.
Salama tu, tutaendelea na kazi bwana.
Kazi inaendelea hapa, wasikilizaji, let them tune in through our website www.punchlineafricaTV.com/radio.html. They tune into our radio, then they can also link with us through our Facebook page, Radio Punchline Africa. We discuss issues precisely, calculatively, without fear of contradiction.
Thank you very much, viewers. Let's start the topic. Does Kenya lift, release, ease, whichever word you want to use? Is it the time for us to ease? And let's face this topic without fear. Does Kenya open the schools? Does Kenya open the restaurants? Does Kenya allow airports? Does Kenya allow airports, land ports, all this? Does Kenya allow nightclubs? Does Kenya allow restaurants to fully book? Are we near the stage where we can say, yes, we are capable of releasing something? Can we have it? Do we have the structures? Do we have the laws? I want you to open up. It is not a question of telling me, don't lift. I want you to look at the law. People are talking of lifting. What is the law? President Museveni yesterday or the other day put the curfew to 7 o'clock in Kampala. But the people were stopped at 7 sharp. And they were told either to move out of the cars and walk on foot, leave the cars wherever they are, or sleep in the car because you have broken the curfew. How many people are still jumping the police bridge to go to Muranga, to go to Naivasha, to go to Machakos, to go to Kajiado and other neighboring districts or Kwale to leave to go to Taveta, Mombasa to leave to go to Malindi. How many people? We still have hundreds and hundreds of people doing so. What do we do if we open the people in the city? The weekend they will be in the villages. Look at what is going to happen. This disease does not walk. Disease is moved. It's moved by people, by equipment, by all the machinery, the cars. Are we ready to ease movement? Miriam laid down the groundwork for this discussion with the facts that you have there. Mm-hmm. What can Kenya do? And then don't forget, how much have we done? How much has the ministry done? I was very shocked yesterday that the minister repeated something that I saw a long time ago. I told the minister that they are cartels, they are thieves. I said it on this program, that Mr. Mutahi Kagwe must be very careful. There are thieves there, cartels in that ministry. And if he's not careful, those thieves will lead him to commit himself. They will even forge his shadow. Not even himself, but the shadow. They will draw the shadow and the sign on behalf of Mutahi Kagwe. Because their master mafia planners and the cartel are telling them we must finish that man's political career. We must finish him. He has come to help Uhuru Kenyatta. He has come to resurrect Uhuru Kenyatta's vision. Miriam, I did not watch you this morning. You analyzed the newspapers. Mr. President, it's up to you. Thieves are everywhere. You have now a chance to clean these thieves. Even in the cabinet, when you finish parliament, come to cabinet, even in cabinet, take them out. Your Excellency, thieves, the minister is crying that, oh, they are here. In fact, they have made the minister jump out of the window. The thieves in the Ministry of Health, a network, a well-coordinated network of mafia with a mafia boss sitting somewhere saying, that is now the money we want on account. If it is not there by 2 p.m., we assassinate people. We publish that they drank tea for 4 million. That is what the thieves do. And that's what the thieves have done to Mutahi Kagwe. The earlier, my brother Mutahi Kagwe learns that the thieves are there. And the earlier the president cracks, uses this time, we have less than 24 months or so to put a cabinet that trusts him, that can work with him. People like Mutahi Kagwe, who can come and say the truth, but nothing but the truth. Not ministers who are hiding with the thieves, eating with the thieves, putting bills, adding their portion of millions and billions. In Kenya, people are not talking of millions. They are talking of billions. If you keep a thief, if you give a mafia big thief in Kenya today, 1 million, he will not like you. Everybody here is talking of billions. Can you imagine what your country is? Billions. I'm a billionaire. It's not like a this Ugandan friend of mine, the Shuju who resembles me, whom you have seen the video going around, Pastor Mugisha. He says people who waste time in the gym, like a Wesonga, 6-pack, are bodyguards. Which is true. Give that Ugandan guy the truth. The truth. That's true. Kanyama. The nyama. Wale, the meat. They are bodyguards. They don't have money. They're escorts. I know him. He's my friend for a long time. For almost 30 years. I know him. And then the people are sending me the picture saying that he resembles Matanga. No. Matanga comes from Eastern. Mugisha comes from Museveni's clan. Not me. Not me. I'm this way. I'm a Mugisha. We are friends. We fly. We have flown several times on the flight. And the people think we are brothers. So they have sent me this video. Everybody has sent this video to me. The guy is correct.
True.
People waste a lot of time in the gym preparing 6 packs, 7 packs, 80 packs, 90 packs. What for? What for? If you are healthy, if your blood is healthy, you don't need to prepare 7 packs. Yeah. So the president needs to cut this type of people who prepare packs in the ministries. Every ministry in Kenya has a pack 1, pack 2, pack 3, 6 packs. They have Range Rovers. They come out with a bags. No. You need Mutahi Kagwe in the cabinet. An economic war cabinet to stop these 6-packed men. You see, all of them have shaven their hair, slender with new suits, not matching. You see, those are the 6-packs Mugisha was talking about, and the one Mr. Mutahi Kagwe is crying about. They have syndicate in the ministry. They are siphoning his money when he has not even drunk the tea. The man never drank the tea. Now, let's come to the point. Miriam,
Yes.
Given this scenario, given the scenario that people don't wash hands, given the scenario that people want to share, given the scenario that they are still opening bottles of brandy, and taking videos and doing like this, it's your nice, in nightclub, at night, in their places, in estates. Given the scenario that the supermarkets, the water is dry, the sanitizers are not there, you first contaminate the basket, then come and you are given the sanitizer. Our supermarket people trained, they have not been trained. They have left the thing to Askari, who is supposed to look for gun, pistol, bomb at the door. Don't forget, the Askaris who are working at the supermarket have several tasks. There is Al-Shabaab. Behind all this, there is another enemy which can surprise us and hit us. So those people have a lot of work. Now, have we sensitized them enough to open up the space? Have we got the laws? The laws in Kenya, do we abide by the laws? President Uhuru Kenyatta was frank yesterday. And I want to thank His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. President, thank you very much last night. You talked about your own, me. You steal and you come to my house. You steal. And you come back to my house. I land you to British police, baby. You go. You go and do corruption. And then you come to my door that, oh, David, daddy. No, I land you. What President Uhuru Kenyatta did yesterday is what Matanga would do. And that's why maybe we are friends. I do the same. I land you. In fact, I can drive you to Central Croydon Police and I land you there, Scotland Yard. What? I'll come to bail you later. I'm not a parent who sympathizes with thieves. Unaenda kuiba. But some people here are proud when they hear their children's name named in scandals of Kenya Pipeline, where oil, shit. Oh, you can't stay in my house when you're a thief. No, let's die of poverty. But I hand you over to the police. Then I'll come and pay your bail. If you are lucky, if I'm in a good mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll say let him go fast for some 3 months. I'll remove him. Really? So President Uhuru Kenyatta, what you did yesterday to dress down the younger man, that's very good. Because you see, that is the only typical example to give you, do you really want now to lift this curfew? Do you want to lift the curfew? Mr. President, do you want to lift the curfew? Now he lift, how many of them will go out and bring disease to innocent people? Aha! Tuko Kachi 22. David Matanga. Me, for now, I can be locked inside here. Wherever I am. I rather stay here than to mangamanga kwa barabara hapo natafuta nini. I buy 1 packet of flour. I can eat for 2 weeks. You have seen me preparing my chicken, which takes me 4 days. Alone, 2 pieces, two packer, and it's 1,500 shillings. I prepared my meal. Water is there, wash and drink here. So you want to go there and do what? That I'm looking for what? You are saving your lives. The Kenyans must know you are saving your lives. This is not Mutahi Kagwe. You don't die with the people. Show me a grave that has got a wife and husband. Show me one grave in the world. You can be buried with your Range Rover if you want. That's no problem, but not with your wife. God will not accept you in the kingdom. Because God only judges single people. If you are buried with your wife in the same grave, God will not resurrect your soul up. So don't say we, you say I. I'm teaching those who are listening. Coronavirus is dangerous. It's an invisible enemy. Don't give it a chance. Zimbabwe opened up the southern border. The enemy has entered through the southern border smelling with flies. It's now in the great country without medicine, without hospital beds, without ventilators. Look at what is going to happen there. North Korea, South Korea, the schools, people are talking of schools. Because I want to finish this so that I leave it to us to break it down. You want to lift it. Do you have spare parts for the child? How many people have spare parts for their children? you people, you have spare parts. Maybe some people have spare parts for their children, which has been kept in their wardrobes. If we cannot observe discipline in the toilet at our houses, how about the school where the child will be one teacher against 40 pupils in the classroom? No. If Britain, whose democracy is 1,600 years, whose educational system in English we speak now came from, will not release the schools. You are 55, 6 years old in the democracy that unataka kufungua. Fungua! We can pass. Why can't we just say the children of this year have all passed? Mako, I am thinking for you because you're a professor of anatomy, of not splitting people, postmortems, and other things. But I'm a professor, a doctor of political science. I think, why don't you declare all the people, go back and see their coursework? How have they been doing in the class? And put them over, let them go. It's, for every revolution, there is what we call people's gains. People's gains. Industrial revolution came, people left the villages and went to the towns. Agricultural revolution came, people who had no farms acquired farms. I'm teaching history here. Coronavirus revolution came, let there be students who pass exam without sitting them. Don't subject our children to exams under these conditions. We shall have a catastrophe. Unless you know something that we don't see. But comparatively, worldwide, we also see CNN, which Makoha sees. We see BBC, which Makoha sees. Al Jazeera, even some of us have other methods which Makoha does not have. Yeah. Political networks, the ones that can tell Ocampo, where are you? So be careful. Don't allow your children to be taken to this. This way fast. Whether Uganda or where Uganda is going to bring children to school. For what? The disease in Uganda could be sleeping war. It could be sleeping. Be careful. It could be sleeping. When it erupts, we have nowhere to go. It could be sleeping in Kenya here. Dar es Salaam, it is really sleeping. Inalala kabisa. You wait when wazungu, when the tourists refuse to come, is when you will see. You will regret why you didn't go through the measures that Kenya is going through. You wait. These wazungu are not going to come to every place now. You have to do something extraordinary. So do we open or we don't open? Do we lock or we don't lock? Do we tighten in the nuts? Miriam, over to you.
All right, and that is what was making headlines on the leading newspapers this morning. Yesterday, a statement there by the NAT Secretary General Wilson Sossion, and he said that the world will not come to an end if we suspend examinations. KCPE and KCSE exams are not a ticket to heaven. So these are just some of the radical proposals here that Mr. Sossion put forward, and he said, reset KCPE and KCSE exams. The syllabus will not be covered adequately and time for practical exams have elapsed. And number two, postpone exams. October-November dates not tenable, hence proposal to push a test between January and April next year. And then number three, repeat classes. Possibility of entire academic year being lost as it's not clear when virus will be contained. And then number four, homeschooling flop. Virtual learning favors learners from rich families over children in rural and informal settlements who lack access to electricity and online learning materials. So, just recently, President Uhuru Kenyatta on Saturday, the 23rd of May, hinted at a possibility of relaxing the current COVID-19 containment measures, which include a nationwide dusk to dawn curfew and restrictions of movement in and out of Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi, Kwale, and Mandera. The dusk to dawn was issued on March 27th and has been extended twice by further 21 days in measures to prevent the spread of the virus. Now, the curfew was complemented with the cessation of movement order in 5 counties, which was eventually extended to Nairobi's Eastleigh and Old Town in Mombasa. So, Doctor, even as we look forward to the government seeks to find ways in which perhaps the restriction would be lifted, according to the World Health Organization's World Health Organization, it's only one. Criteria to begin easing physical distancing measures could include, these are just some of the suggestions the World Health Organization is saying, in case you are thinking about lifting up sanction restrictions and all of that, then there are 6 criteria for moving ease lockdown restrictions, and countries must ensure, number one, that evidence shows COVID-19 transmission is controlled. And as you speak in the country right now, we seem to be at the top right now. We seem to be having more numbers every day. And also number 2, the public health and health system capacities are in place to identify, isolate, test, trace contacts, and quarantine them. The government is trying what it can in that regard, but we see also other challenges with very funny characters in Kenyans. They're going there not even giving their contacts. And number 3, the outbreak risks are minimized in high vulnerability settings, particularly in homes for older people, mental health facilities, crowded places of residence. And in our normal setting here, we'll look at that as the slums, where we see now the numbers there, COVID-19 is present there, the numbers there has started going up. And also workplace preventative measures are established, including physical distancing, hand washing facilities, and respiratory etiquette. And also the 5th one, that importation risk can be managed. And the last one, that communities have a voice and are aware, engaged, and participating in the transition. So these are just some of the measures the World Health Organization is saying. If you are thinking about lifting some of the lockdown restrictions or curfews or all of that, then these are things that you have to consider. So, Doctor, when you look at number 3 there, according to World Health Organization, that the outbreak risks are minimized in high vulnerability settings. So let's just leave that there, because us here, our high vulnerability settings is in the slums. And you've seen yesterday from the figures that we've been receiving, not just yesterday, even a few days ago, that has been given by the Ministry of Health. We've seen the numbers, especially in the slum areas. Now that will has started giving the government a bit of a headache, because that is our vulnerable areas. And now the spread is down there, and a few cases were found in Mathare. A few cases are in Kibra and other areas. So are we even ready to lift this? Do we even meet this criteria? Should we go with this criteria that has been given out by World Health Organizations to guide us in lifting up some of these restrictions?
First of all, Kenya has not even tested more than 100,000 people. No. So far, we have only tested about 60,000, isn't it? About 60,000 people. Now, we don't have even evidence that we have controlled the disease yet. Because according to our sampling, these 60,000 people so far out of a population of 45 million. You can see the ratio. How many people are yet to be tested? How much area are we yet to cover? Through the sampling system, if you are sampling, you haven't controlled the disease yet. Until we have zero, the curve is down, is when we can say, proudly tell the government, lift the curfew. We want to go back to our nightclubs, our discos, and so on and so forth. Now, the rate of vulnerable, the situation of vulnerability here is real serious, Miriam, and the panel. It is serious that if you look at the clustering system, you will find that it is going there slowly. It is concentrating in those places. As they say, poverty loves. There's a saying where song and all these things, where they say, misery loves where poverty is. When you are very poor is when misery comes.
True.
But misery does not go to people like a Pastor Mugisha. You know? That pastor from Uganda, heavy. No misery. But misery looks for us, the six-pack, and it is a fight. So please, I agree. For me, one, as I throw the topic back to you people, beginning as Miriam will direct who wants to speak, I have given my views. I've given the case studies in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe had 34 people, 54. It has come to 130 something. Overnight, 100 people have disappeared from the quarantine from South Africa. The airspace in Zimbabwe is still open. Tanzania yesterday opened its airspace. Planes to nowhere. They don't even have a plane. One plane was confiscated in Canada. So we don't know. You are opening the airspace for jet fighters from where? Qatar is gonna bring more disease. Now people who want to fly will fly into Tanzania and drive near Namanga. And at night when the soldiers are sleeping, they cross over into Kenya. Because there's no direct flight into Kenya yet. So these are the things that we must look at. If we are thinking of opening our borders, are we not at a risk? Mm-hmm. If we are thinking of easing our schools, our children, are we not at a risk? If we are thinking of opening out full scale because of the economy, shall we eat the economy or we shall save the people? We must delicately balance. And the President Uhuru Kenyatta must balance between the people and the economy. That's why nobody wants to hear the word China now. If they say nah, we go also nah. We don't want to hear them. People are very angry. Very, very angry. The world is very angry. And what I said here, the British Prime Minister repeated it. You saw it yesterday. The British Prime Minister repeated it. He wants accountability on how WHO. Now, most of you who are watching WHO saga, because this is also a determinant. There's a Kenyan who has gone there now. So let's not fall a victim of this mafia group, international mafia group. And I just want to say it openly, because when you tell people they oppose you, let me make it public. Mr. Tedros created an NGO. The thing he did it to us in 1997 in London. He opened an account when we, Uganda Community Relief and the Ethiopian Relief Association organization, we had accounts in which were known for the club. Do you know that Mr. Tedros has opened an NGO on the sideline that is donation for the notion? When you're a thief, you're a thief. Whose donations? For who? WHO is funded by the UN. Then you say, now you want a special kitty for well-wishers to drop in money. Is this not theft? That's what the man did to us. He opened 2 accounts. And I want to tell you, we lost. We lost our funding in Britain because of Mr. Tedros. Commander Tedo. The spirit of theft has grown in him. He's now stealing the whole world. I sympathize with the African who has been beaten by those white racists because he was crying for help on a camera. But not with an African who goes to international border to steal. No, no way.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Daniel, if you can hear me. So one of the guidelines that the World Health Organization has put in place is number one, that evidence, that countries should follow as guidance in terms of easing out these lockdowns. And the first one is that evidence shows COVID-19 transmission is controlled. When you look at that and you put it into context in the Kenyan scenario, would you say that the transmission of COVID-19 is under control right now?
Okay, of course, when you look at the graphs and the charts of these countries that have preceded us, that is like the countries like Italy and Spain and all other countries in Europe, there was quite a climax where they reached before the graph now started going down. And as you see right now, in Kenya, it is when we are starting recording numbers in our hundreds. So really, we cannot say that we are at that point where we are controlling this disease. So we really need some time. It's not the time to maybe open up. And when you look at also our infrastructure, Kenya does not have even those enough ventilators, enough air conditioners in our places of work, in our places of worship, in schools. So when you look at it, really, I tend to stand on the same pew with Dr. Masanga that this is very yet premature to call for the opening up, and the people who are propagating such suggestion, I think there is so much dwelling in venality, greed, and they do not consider the wider population of the country.
All right. I don't know if the problem with Mr. Patrick has been fixed. Patrick, are you there? And I don't know what you have to your response to that. Does Kenya have the COVID-19 transmission under control? Because that is one of the requirements by the World Health Organization if a country should lift up or ease up some of these restrictions. Well, I don't know.
Of course, until now, I think you can now get me well. Of course, until now, we have not reached at a point where we can say that we have achieved the extensive diagnostic testing capability, whereby when maybe you see someone with COVID-19 symptoms, they can be tested and their results are given to them the same day. We have not reached at such a point. So we cannot say that we have reached a time where we can actually maybe lower down these particular restrictions. And of course, any state that wants to consider relaxing social distancing actually should have a demonstrated downward trend in cases over 2 to 3 weeks prior to lowering down those restrictions.
Mm-hmm. So another point there, Doctor, the one that the World Health Organization has put in place there, they're saying, assuming Kenya wants to lift up some of these restrictions, then that one of these has to be met, that the public health and healthcare system capacities are in place to identify, isolate, test, trace contacts and quarantine them. We've seen the government really trying to meet one of this, and the government of Kenya is really trying, so we have to give that credit. But we've seen also some challenges coming out of Kenyans showing up in these mass testing centers, getting tested, and while they're filling up the information, they're giving the wrong information, the wrong contact address. So even after they test a positive or negative, even there's no way of giving them back the feedback or the results of their test there. So while we have the capabilities and the capacities to isolate, to test, and to trace contacts and quarantine them, when it comes to the tracing of contacts, sometimes this could be a challenge to the Ministry of Health, and we've seen it is.
Yes, I agree. Kenya, yes, at the moment it has, to some extent, about 45 to 50%, 45% ready for those type of testing quickly. In the round, you get results. Not because they don't have the money, they have the money. But where do you buy this equipment? That's an obstacle. Where do you buy the equipment now? Because China is preparing. America's placed an order. China tells you we are only this week or this month producing for America. We have an order. Orders are being produced in there's a queue. So we don't have the equipment. Even if Kenya had the money, where would they buy this equipment? It's not available. That's one. Therefore, the best thing we can do is to change our behaviors. Start behaving well. We have to continue washing our hands, continue distancing to save ourselves. First of all, the vaccine. They are talking of getting this vaccine next year in June. By June is when the medicine will be available. How many people would have died by that time? God forbid. So we must start thinking of long term. This disease is going to sit down here with us. It's not going away. No country is going to be, how will you stop people to travel? For example, now, Uganda has students from Tanzania who have paid their school fees for a whole year. How are you going to stop them from coming? How will you stop them from coming? Given that Tanzania has not put the restrictions that Uganda has.
True.
But the people have paid their school fees for the whole year in good academic schools in Kampala. How will you stop them from coming? Tell me, because it's not there. So let's prepare for a longer haul. A longer haul is to wash our hands. Let's just let it become a charter, a government instruction, a law. Let the parliament enact a law that if you don't wash your hands and you are seen by a public officer, health officer, you are detained for 6 months. Then people will think of washing their hands. Otherwise, the disease has no medicine. When we were talking the other time, people thought we were joking. People have survived on lemon. They tell you go and drink hot lemon, hot it's hot. It is not there. So you imagine that in Kenya, you allow our students, our children to go back to school. Do we have enough trees for lemon? We don't. There's nobody who can give me an answer. The lemon we get comes from across Tanzania. Tanzania, nobody is going to bring the lemon here. You can see the horticulture in Tanzania, everybody has refused it. So these are the things that the government must put in consideration. Another set of things, Miriam, which we need to think under now, the laws. What are the bylaws? What are the act? What does the act talk about government? What time does the government work from what time to what? You get my point? You are talking of curfew. You are talking of cars returning to the city. Let's look at the government law that says offices must start from 8 up to 5. Let's look at that law and chop it. Cut the law. Government offices within from today should work up to 2 o'clock.
From 8?
Yes. 8 to 2, muende nyumbani. I am suggesting for Mutai Kagwe, get a pen. Or whoever is listening for the president.
Doctor, what difference will that make from now? Because now the government has said 4. Yes.
I wanted that question.
Yes.
I'm happy to. You know what? William, will you come to town?
At what time?
Will you come to town to work?
It will be a bit difficult, yes. Depending on where. For me, I can't because I live in town, yes. But for some people, yes.
Technical way.
It will make it impossible. It will discourage people.
This city that has come back. The president extended the curfew up to 2.
And Doctor, what will that do to our economy, which is already ailing?
People go and sleep in the factories and they work.
Okay, that could be a good suggestion. Yes.
The industries can work. The industries can work 24 hours. But every business stops at 2. Curfew begins at 3 or 2 o'clock.
Curfew begins at 2.
Yeah, you go. So you come and do your banking, you come and do your supermarket, go. If your supermarket is open, it opens. These measures are going to come though. How do you stop people coming to Nairobi? Even those who are coming to gossip. They park their car in the car park and start, whoa, yesterday my wife, yesterday my husband. They are there in the car park.
Fuel must be very cheap now for people to afford to drive to go to gossip. But the fuel is cheap now. Yes.
Petrol is low. People are buying petrol to come to town to gossip. The cars have returned on the road. The government must listen, change the times of the curfew. Change the times of the curfew. It is on the statute.
All right. So Daniel, what do you think of what Dr. saying?
Of the curfew.
Yeah, I think
the times of the curfew, people will not come into town. So the Kenyans will not drive into the city. Why should I go to come all the way from Runda or from Kiambu?
Yes.
Or from Fika to come to Nairobi to do what? When I'm only working for 3 hours, I rather work from my house and send somebody to go and do my banking. This is what they call brains must work. We must use brains now. Help Mr. Mutahi Kagwe and help the government. Because when you say curfew at 7, you see the mess. Have you now noticed that there is traffic at 5? It is locked.
Even in the morning, so everybody is back on the roads. It's business as usual here in the city, yes.
For this time of COVID, cut down the number of government business. Change the law. There's a Kenyan law that said from 8 up to 5, civil servants must be in the office. Cut it. They are doing biashara ya magendo. That's why the Ministry of Health is crying. The industries can produce. Don't affect the industry. Don't tell me the economy.
So they adjust their shifts.
In fact, you will give more time for the industry to produce because there is no confusion. Your workers will reach to the working place within time. Create space for your workers, tents, temporarily for workers to stay there. Why do they want to go back? So change the times, give another law, try. Instead of loosening now, tighten a bit. Tighten a bit, so that the people have no appetite of coming to Nairobi. But the way things are, people, the way things are, we have opened the whole thing up to 5 and the people have appetite of coming to Nairobi.
That is true.
To sit in restaurants. Yeah, to sit in the restaurants. Gossiping. Hakuna kitu wanafanya. But if there's a limited time, I will justify this by Idi Amin days. Idi Amin said there is a curfew from 8 o'clock up to 6 o'clock. Those days in Kampala, when we were still at school in 1971, 72, 73, some of us were already doing Shakespeare. Look, Amin said curfew from 8 up to 6. So what Ugandans to beat the curfew, they used to go there to sleep there and dance until morning. So most Ugandans during that time slept. There was no traffic jam. Especially weekend, no traffic jam.
So you sleep at the nightclub?
Yes, the music plays up to morning. It was not, the guy brought a very good law. He allowed the music to play up to morning. Ugandans who were there those days will agree with me. We went through that type of life. Music could play up to 6 o'clock. Then you see men driving, going home to sleep. No accidents. So, I wrote this thing today, that Pontius Pilate is remembered for what? For having slaughtered Jesus.
Washing his hands.
Yes, for having sentenced to him. Did he do it willingly or not? If you answer me those questions, then we move to the next stage, which says necessity has no law. If it was necessary to drop in a pit latrine to pick your child,
you will do it.
On the Sabbath day, to go in. If it is necessary to save Kenya today, it is very important for the president to do extraordinary thing to save it, other than to be condemned by people who are saying our economy, our this, our that, our that. My friend, this has no economy.
And speaking about economy, just a couple of days ago, Bill Okero, former Mandera senator, said it is time to reopen the economy because we cannot sustain the partial lockdown. The country is not producing at its optimum as the workforce leaves by 3 p.m. to beat the curfew. So perhaps the changing of the shifts could really, go in a long way, making sure that our industry is not completely, dead. But he's saying it is time to open our economy. Mr. Bill Okero there.
You can open the economy. You can leave the economy work, but up to 2 o'clock. The banking sector can bank. How many people bank money after 3? How many?
A lot, doctor. You'll be surprised. Every time you go to a banking
people
hall.
are doing banking. At the moment, people are doing banking, internet banking. You go to the banking hall, it is as empty
I don't know
as a church.
because the banking halls I've been going to,
as empty as a church in Jerusalem.
they're actually people there because the small business people, they take their monies to the banks, after the day's business.
Let me ask you, where is the money coming from?
From the business, the small-scale business people. They prefer taking the money to the bank.
Most of the money people are keeping, they are keeping it at home. There are very few people banking money at the moment. I don't think Wesonga Bank sees money. If they bank once. No, honestly, they are banking once and they are using M-Pesa or credit card or internet banking. Most of the banking halls are empty.
Yes,
go
sir.
there now. You go in and the bank, the money, the cashier says, can I do anything? Can I look at your bank statement? Can I look at your account? That's what they are doing now. So why do you want to leave laxity and allow cars to return to Nairobi to bring corona? It stays in Nairobi. Allow them to take it out to start infecting reproduction in the villages. Remember, the Dr. Amoth told you, Dr. Amoth told you that the peak of all this is coming. The peak of all this is coming. Be careful. Be very, very, very careful. You see, Magufuli has brought us a problem. Jamen, to be very honest, you, my panel, think seriously. Just think outside the box. Imagine Kenya is completely healed. The curve is flattened. Shall we stop Tanzanians from coming here?
Yeah, the measures on Tanzania has to continue.
How will you stop? They are members of East African Community. They are supposed to travel. Will you stop them?
I think. Well, we shall continue with the testing on the border. So any Tanzania who is okay can come in, but the ones who are sick.
How many people are you? People have relatives. There are Tanzanians who have relatives.
They have to be tested. I think we cannot claim that.
How will you test them every day and put them in quarantine?
Kenya's government has a responsibility to protect us. We have to leave that mobile testing laboratory at the border with Tanzania, because we're doing our best and they're not. So we are not going to gamble with that. We will continue to have them there. So any Tanzanian who is okay will come in, but the ones who are sick, no, you go get help.
I think maybe I'm not an expert in diplomacy, but I think such a decision basing on how Tanzania has always behaved from the past, I think it will only serve to sever our relations with them. They will feel like they are being discriminated against if we can allow fellow Kenyans to move around. What about Tanzanians who have their businesses in Kenya? Dr. Masanga mentioned about students who are studying in Kenyan universities. So from my perspective, I think it will be self-defeating to open up and not allow our neighbors to come in if we talk about East African integration.
What about the Panya routes? What about the Panya routes? The ones that we call the smaller routes of Magendo. Mm-hmm. For example, you can close Maraba. You can close Ruakaka, you can close Loitokito, you can close Namanga. But there is Mara, several routes in Mara. Mm-hmm. The only thing that stops you in Mara is the animal, those big things. Otherwise, the people are walking up to Isinya, mm-hmm. and they are in Kenya with Corona.
And we saw, we saw the residents in Isinya really raising that complaining, and they said, no, we don't want these Tanzanians to keep coming here if they're not being tested. So what I noted from that is that Kenya's population on this side are very aware. So I'm sure if they see somebody from Tanzania, let me tell you, they will let the authorities know, we have somebody here who has come. We're not sure if they've been tested. Please get them tested and clear them.
Who is sensitive?
I saw the residents in that border really raise that concern, and they said, you know what, we need them to get tested before they're able to join us in this side of Kenya. So they are aware. The community is living.
Can I tell you something? Mm-hmm. Kenyan, now Miriam, you can give me another degree. Mm-hmm. That I saw this mess a long time ago. Do you know what I did to my trucks? I kept them. Would I be managing here? You will not be seeing me here now. Because I will be with lips white somewhere in Chebukube, in Maraba, Webuye, Bungoma, standing there. Where would I get the money to pay the drivers? I told you, you must have a brain. All these truck drivers, the owners of these trucks don't have, I think they don't have brains. Get 2 drivers there, 2 drivers here. Now, the Kenyans are, you people, you complain. You know what Ugandans are doing? They say Ugandan police are beating us, that the type of tester in Uganda is longer than normal. That when they put it in your nose, it goes down. It is injury. Mm-hmm. You saw the complaints in Maraba. Mm-hmm. What the Kenyan drivers are complaining. Then they went and blocked the truck. So the truck made all 60 miles, 60 to 80 miles back to Tarubu. In Mkaburengo near Mamasara. So you can see the queue. That's the type of mess we have. If we say we are opening now, so when you open, what about the border? Those trucks could pile and pile. Mm-hmm. You have enough manpower. In those countries like Europe, Britain, they have volunteers. In Kenya, where our volunteers already close. everybody is fearing. Who wants to volunteer when there is COVID-19? People are feared. Some other countries, people have come out to themselves. Those who used to be nurses have worn back the uniform. Those who used to be in the army, they have worn back the uniform. It's war. But we have lost even the morality of being morals. We are morally done. We can't help even a neighbor. So when Miriam says that we shall report people from Tanzania, who is going to report?
The communities. Now we'll have to do community policing.
Okay.
And the government has to intensify the test from the border. I'm sure the Ugandan government will do the same on its side for anybody who's coming from this side, and also the Kenyan side will do the same. So I don't have
Ugandan side. Yes. Ugandan side.
And also Miriam.
Yes.
Is not a problem at all. Ugandan side, there is LC1. It checks as soon as you sleep in the hotel, you arrive with your small suitcase luggage, the LC1 will know that you are in the country. And they will know what you came for within 20 minutes. That's why they are able to detect quite a lot of theft that goes on, and the people steal cars, they do what they do. It's not so theft. Ugandan system is like a Dubai. Once you are in Dubai, you are finished. They will know where you are. There are few people. Until we started even stealing the CCTVs, thinking that they have not caught us. You know? Have you ever seen of a thief taking the CCTV, yet it is taking his picture? That's what happened to us Ugandans. Until we are given a blackout in Dubai. We became very bad. So the situation is, we still have very bad people. The laws in Kenya allow freedom. The laws in Tanzania allow we loved you, but Tanzania loved you more. Have you heard of that saying?
Tanzania is a special case. We will look at it during African News.
We loved you, but Jubilee loved you more.
Yes.
So on that note, I think for me, from this side, my conclusion would be, let's look at the laws. Let's change the basic laws. Let's make them laws. Washing hands should be a law, not a request. Social distancing from now, I don't know whether there will be people who will be cuddling. What is this called?
Hugging.
I don't think there will be people greeting each other. It will take a long time. So make it a law that there is no 1 meter. Even if you are in the taxi, we talk from far. Make it a law that everybody must wear a mask. If you have no mask, like a checking, make it a law that everybody must be checked in Kenya because we fear of terrorists coming to strike us. Make it a law. We must put things in law before we think of unlocking. Because even the things now, why they are not being obeyed, what will the police charge you with if you don't have a mask? How many people will the police arrest? Miriam, today, this morning, you are saying people are not even wearing anything. I heard you in the supermarket. You saw the mess there. If you release this thing here now, at a supermarket hiyo, uchafu itakuwa kwa nyama. It will be on the meat. Then you carry it home, cook for your children. All of you sick, COVID-19. Be careful. Well, the government can ease some areas which affect the economy. specify hotels in Nairobi. Give 5-star hotels in Nairobi to open, but not every hotel.
We can't afford to eat there.
Wait. I'm giving another suggestion.
Yes.
The rest of us who don't have the money, we shall go to that. We shall not go to Kempinski.
We'll go where?
You go home and cook your food.
Okay. They're discriminating against pockets which are not very deep.
No.
All right. I understand your point, Doctor. Because the bigger hotels, they're able to observe the measures. I understand, yes.
Let me tell you, the big hotels will seat you 10 people. The smaller hotels will seat you 20.
All of you will sit and occupy.
All of you. Because they want quick turnover. So allow fast, slowly, these big hotels to open up. Like a Kempinski. The people who go to Kempinski is not you and me and others, very few. Because one bottle of beer costs 1,000 shillings. You get the point? 1,000 bob, a bottle of beer. You will not go and buy. A glass of wine is 2,000 bob. This glass. So you won't go there. So whoever goes there sits nicely. Very few people will come back to town. But you will keep the hotel managed. The economy, the plates will not rust. The saucepans will not rust. Slowly as we go on developing until we come down. But if we open wholesomely,
it's going to be a problem. So one of the things, one of the guidelines, Daniel and Patrick, that the World Health Organization has put in place, including if one wants to ease up lockdowns, if a country wants to ease up some of these, restrictions, then there should be, the country has to confirm that the importation risks can be managed. Importation of coronavirus from one section of the country to another can be managed. But from what we've seen in this country and the way some Kenyans here are very sneaky, like that case we talked about here yesterday, about that person who drove all the way from Kakuma refugee camp into Kana County, came to Eastleigh, picked the sister who was in Eastleigh, and Eastleigh is under lockdown, got the sister and the baby, drove all the way back to Kakuma, and then when they got there, the sister had coronavirus. Now he also had coronavirus, and now 22 people are under quarantine. So obviously, from what we've been seeing, the importation risk there is still very high. So what do you say to this? Do we meet that criteria that can allow us to ease up restrictions? Are we able to manage our importation risks?
Social structures don't allow, Miriam. The social structures can't allow. We don't have the social structure. Why people in Britain, like these guys in Europe, like Mohabudi, Haji, and so on, there's a social system. There's a social contract in Britain that when a bus stops at a bus stage, you have to enter when you have queued, lined back with the first customer first. But here, when a bus arrives at the what is this major station near the
Kencom?
Have you seen the way people push small?
They don't queue there. I think
yes,
during rush hours they try to.
Which queues?
But they don't observe social distancing.
They push for sure. You find pregnant women being pushed.
Oh no, that's terrible.
They want
a lot of disorder.
Run. The queue is long. The queue in Britain, Baka Ufate queue. They They use all types of chests. They beat you up. In fact, if you see a huge man entering a bus, when a woman who is pregnant is standing there, and he enters and she looks at the woman who is pregnant outside. He has sat. He said, Leo mekaa mzuri. That type of life is here. So we don't have a social system.
So Daniel, yes, Daniel, what were you saying there in terms of why
I think Dr. Matsanga has brought about a very interesting topic that it really touches on our behavior as a people. And you remember sometime back when I was reading the book which was written by the first Prime Minister of Singapore, that is Lee Kuan. Here, how they were able to move from third world to first world country. And one of the things that they really emphasized on, and they believed that could turn Singapore from being a village of 120 fishermen to a global economic hub, was to changing the behavior of the people. How people behaved in their ways of life. You remember he was talking on how Singaporeans were walking in the streets. People could spit on the streets, could walk on the lawns. We had hawkers who sold without regard of the law. They were selling in the pavements where cars were passing. We had a lot of disorder in the cities of Singapore. So the government had to come up with a very, very stringent measures. They had to move these people, these hawkers, to a very well developed markets. With the sewer systems, with running water, with electricity, and they had to make them pay for that. Of course, it was a bitter change, and but they had no otherwise but to adhere to that. They brought also laws prohibiting spitting in public, throwing garbage anywhere, buses picking people from any points that they wish they could do. So I think now with COVID-19, as Dr. Matsanga is saying, currently in Kenya, we do lack such capacity. Our people don't have that culture of behaving well. They are still struggling in bus terminals. They are still the hotels, apart from those 5-star hotels like maybe Hilton and Kempinski and all those big hotels. The rest of them, of the normal ones, don't have those infrastructure. Yeah. So, and that is something that should really be put into consideration. You know, change is inevitable, and even Charles Darwin said that it is not the strongest of the species that survive, the most intelligent, but the most, but the one that is most responsive to change. So
adaptable,
really,
yes.
we have to
adaptive.
All right. So we have to have these changes, and our people have to adapt before we can even talk of opening up.
All right, Patrick, if you can hear us, I don't know what will be your point in this. Our importation risks, is it, he's not there? I think we had a problem with his reception there, so they're working on it. If you're able to get him before we finish, then that's okay. If not, then we shall continue. So another point that I think is very important, according to these guidelines, there are about 6 of them that has been put forth by World Health Organization, and is saying, hey, if you want to open up your economies, if you want to open up your borders, you want to have your flights, fly to different countries, then these are just some of the things that you might want to see are in check. And one of these things that I think is very, very important, and I think touches on everything else we've been talking about here, and it is that communities have a voice and are aware, engaged, and participating in the transition in terms of easing up and all of this. So we've seen here in the country, the government has created awareness. The government has said, you know what, go get tested if you are sick. We'll take care of the bill and all of that. This is COVID-19. This is what is happening. This is where we are as a country. The message is out there. Nobody in Kenya today can come out and say they don't have information about COVID-19, because I think the government has done its best in terms of creating awareness. But there seems to be a disconnect with what the government is saying and how the public is receiving that. A good number, what the public is hearing the government to be saying versus what the government is actually saying. So here, World Health Organization identifies that communities must have a voice, must be aware, must engage and participate, so that we're able to defeat this COVID-19, because the government can do much, just so much, but the rest of the responsibility is to the people. So this is where now we have work to do. Doctor.
There are so many points that you have raised, Miriam. We have a lot to do, for sure, to bring about. First of all, we are not an obedient community.
Indisciplined.
So however much we struggle with all this analysis, we rely on impunity. We have impunity. There is no Muzungu who disobeys the law. Very few, one or two. They commit mistakes. But when they are caught, they are remorseful. But in Africa, when we are caught, when we are in the wrong, we become even more angrier with those who even reported us. We come to wipe you out. Have you seen cases of corruption in Kenya here finished? Show me one. Oswago. Oswago's case 2 days ago was found guilty after the men in London, Chicken Gate scandal, have even served their sentence.
Imagine that.
In London, the men of Chicken Gate scandal where Oswago swindled 1 billion shillings, served their sentence, their property was taken by the state, they are homeless, they are in hotels. If they have relatives, they stay at the relatives' house. They have come out of jail. So we are a continent of impunity. Believe me or not, Miriam. So first, if someone wants to lift this, what is it called?
The restrictions and lockdowns and curfews and all of that.
You must first of all kill impunity. We have plenty of it.
All right, Daniel.
People don't.
Yes.
You know that the people don't even listen to the president here. My friend, the president is suffering. People are belittling him. People are belittling the president on a daily basis. Someone wakes up at 5 to insult the president. 5 a.m. He's online. He's online telling the president so many stories. He has never seen him personally. So we are a society that does not accept what is in front of us. We only think of the worst of what we shall see out of Miriam. Basically, that's where the rain started beating us. Madam, we want to switch on to your African news and enjoy the news. 2 things, 3 things that we must keep. 1, never think of an African saying yes until he sees the river coming. People are waiting for dead bodies to arrive at GPO. Then they know Corona is real. There are some people mocking Corona. They say it is not there. Bring it. Someone was asking today on social media that have you ever seen a Corona patient? Miriam. They want to see what is happening in Italy. Then they can actually start washing their hands. Let me take this opportunity to sanitize my hands. For me, on this other side, like a Pontius Pilate, I've finished.
Okay.
I've sanitized my hands.
Yes.
God bless you.
All right.
Let me wait for the African news, and thank you very much for this discussion. And we continue with it tomorrow on the youth affairs. Tomorrow we shall look at the youth, the impact of jobs, of COVID-19 on employment or unemployment or youth employment. How many youths have been affected? We shall switch on tomorrow in the morning. Although I have a lecture to give at 11, I am joining a group of Center for Democracy in Kenya, Martha Karuas, and so on, and others. We are on the webinar.
Webinar.
I will be discussing democracy and elections in Africa, especially the Kenyan democracy. We are many. So from 11 tomorrow, I will be live there. One of the problems that has killed Kenya is elections. And now here we are preparing for another war, not changing the rules, the laws. So the panel is hot, with very hot-headed men. If you want to listen, Punchline can hook it direct and bring it at the station. So 11 o'clock tomorrow. But if I will join in the discussion on the webinar and see what it is. I've been accepted on the panel. Right. So thank you very much, viewers. Thank you, all of you. God bless you. Those watching us, we love K2, Dr. Matsanga. Today, you should know. Everybody knows K2. We all love it. But now it cannot travel. So we must look for tilapia and what? So what can you do? There is no tilapia anymore coming in London or wherever you are more. So enjoy your fish from, I don't know what type of fish they eat in London, because I don't like fish at the cheap places. Someone stole my wallet from there. So thank you very much, Miriam. Over to you for the African news. Before
you get to that, Daniel, do you have your closing remarks on everything else we've been talking about, and the last point about community engagement and making community aware and giving the community a voice and making it engaged and participation as a means to curbing the spread of COVID-19, and then we can swiftly move to diaspora dispatches.
Yes, I think Dr. Matsanga has put it quite in plain white and black, and he has really exhausted everything. People have to notice that progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. So it's high time Kenyans change their mindsets and really embrace these new measures to enable the economy to come back to normalcy, and people to get back their normal ways of life. Of course, adhering to the new measures that have been put up by the Ministry of Health to combat the COVID-19. That is my parting shot.
All right. So I think we'll take a short break, and then when we return, or do we just continue production? Do we just continue?
I am out.
Oh, you're out? All right,
yes.
So we'll take a break, and then we shall come back with the Diaspora Dispatches. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.